Fellow Ghanaians, good morning. Last week, once again, the alarm bells were sounded over our education system. 16 people were arrested during this year's WASI. 64 mobile phones were seized. Cases of impersonation uncovered, invigilators compromised, teachers and parents implicated. This was not some handful of desperate students trying their luck. It was an organization and it was an operation, one that looked like a cartel more than a classroom. Fellow Ghanaians, and it should worry every one of us because what is at stake is not just the outcome of an examination paper, but the credibility of our nation's certificates, the integrity of our schools, and the very future of our children, our brothers, and our sisters. Cheating in exams is not new, but what we are seeing now is something different, something far more dangerous. It has become an industry. Some parents are actually contributing money for leaked questions. Teachers are forming WhatsApp groups to distribute APO, and school heads are closing their eyes while students smuggle mobile phones into the examination hall. Some invigilators, instead of policing more practice, collect their share and then look away. It is no longer about individual misconduct. It is now systemic. It is coordinated, and it is eroding the very foundation of our education system. WAEC itself has been sounding the alarm year after year. Thousands of results are withheld. In 2023, more than 300,000 results were withheld, and over 59,000 were outrightly cancelled. In 2024, the numbers were similar. These are not just statistics to gloss over. They are staggering numbers that tell us something fundamental is broken. And when certificates from Ghana become suspects, it is not only the cheaters that lose. Every honest student, every hardworking teacher, and every diligent parent suffers too. The danger is this: if examination malpractice continue on this scale, Ghana's WASI and BE certificates will lose their worth. Employees and employers will begin to doubt them. Universities abroad will begin to question them, and professional bodies will begin to treat them with suspicion. And once the reputation of our certificates collapses, rebuilding it will almost be impossible. Look at Nigeria. The hard truth is that certificates mean nothing if they do not represent competence. A certificate earned through fraud is not just paper, it is a lie. But to understand how we got here, we must also admit that the problem is not simply moral weakness. Yes, students cheat, parents collude, teachers betray their trust. But beneath it all lies a deeper structural issue. From the very beginning of our education system, we have elevated exams into life or death battles. A child's future depends on a single exam. The BEC decides which secondary school you can go. The WASI decides whether or not you can go to university at all. One paper, one score, one moment, and the path of life is determined. If you fail in maths, that is it for you. That kind of high-stakes system produces pressure so intense that many feel they have no choice but to cut corners. Of course, desperation is not justification, but what we cannot pretend is that this is irrelevant. When a student knows that one bad exam will end their dreams for life, when parents see education as the only ladder out of poverty, and when entire families invest in one child's success, the temptation to cheat becomes overwhelming. The system sets up the pressure. Human height supplies the weakness. And then there is a national psyche. In Ghana, we often celebrate results, not efforts. We value grades, not learning. Parents boast about aggregate 6, not about curiosity or character. And politicians praise pass rates, not critical thinking. Schools advertise their percentage passes, not the creativity of their teaching. In such an environment, the measure of worth becomes a grade on the paper, and how that grade is achieved becomes secondary. If exams are seen as everything, then cheating becomes just another way to reach the same end. But this cannot continue, fellow Ghanaians. Examination malpractice is not a victimless crime. It is theft. It robs honest students of a level playing field. It cheats parents who struggle to pay fees only for others to buy shortcuts. It defrauds universities and employers who expect competence but get incompetence. And it undermines our national development when people in key positions cannot perform their tasks because their certificates suggest they are qualified for that, but they are not. So listen, imagine a doctor who cheated through medical school. Imagine an engineer who passed physics by paying for answers. Imagine a teacher who faked their way through training. That is not just malpractice, that is a national suicide. Some may argue that malpractice has always existed, and they will say it is just a part of the system. But that kind of resignation is dangerous. What starts as a whisper of dishonesty can grow into a culture of corruption. If students grow up believing cheating is normal, they will become adults who think stealing in public office is also normal. If schools teach collusion, society will reap corruption. Examination malpractice is a seed of national decay. We need to change the rules of the game. First, WAEC must tighten its systems, question paper serialization, stricter surveillance, biometric verification, digital monitoring. All these are possible and necessary. Technology has made cheating easier, but technology can also make it harder. We must also be firm with penalties and visible. If a student cheats, results must be cancelled. But of course, they must be heard. They must be given an opportunity again. And if a teacher aids cheating, their licenses must be revoked. If a school is complicit, its accreditation must be threatened. Too often, consequences are hidden or watered down. And we need consequences that echo loudly. Again, we must reduce the life or death stakes of exams. And this is important. Continuous assessment should be strengthened, not as weak add-ons, but as a robust system of measuring competence. Skills-based education should be prioritized so that students are not judged only by what they memorize for one exam, but what they can apply and do in real life. In countries like Finland, exams are rare, but students emerge competent and confident. In Kenya, right here in Africa, reforms are moving towards competence-based assessments. Why can't we learn from best practices? We must also build a culture of integrity. This is perhaps the hardest task. It requires parents to stop pressuring children into shortcuts. It requires teachers to treat their duty as sacred. It requires schools to celebrate effort, not just outcomes. And it requires the government to model integrity in its own actions. When leaders cut corners, when citizens follow, the reward is dishonesty. People cheat. When honesty is valued, it spreads. And here perhaps one witty line is allowed. An exam should be like a football match. If you fix it before kickoff, the trophy becomes worthless. Nobody celebrates a rigged game, and no nation should celebrate a rigged certificate. Fellow Ghanaians, this is not a crisis only for WAEC. It is a crisis for all of us. Because in the end, the wealth of a nation is not in its gold or cocoa alone, but in the integrity of its people. If our students learn dishonesty as their first lesson, when they are mortgaging our future, that is a big problem. And if our schools become factories of fraud, then our development is doomed. But if we reclaim integrity in education, then we can build a society that values truth, effort, and character. So let us speak strongly and plainly about this. To the students, your certificate means nothing if it does not reflect your true ability. To our parents, paying for cheating is not love, it is sabotage. And to the teachers, betraying your profession for money is treachery. To schools, colluding in malpractice is national betrayal. And to the government, tackling this scourge is not optional, it is a duty. For without credible education, there is no credible nation. We must act now. We must see examination malpractice, I should say, for what it is. Organized crime, a cancer on our society. We must fight it with the same urgency with which we claim to fight corruption, galamsey, poverty, and disease. Because in truth, it is all connected. The cheater in the exam hall today is a corrupt exam official tomorrow. The dishonest student today is a dishonest leader tomorrow. If you want a Ghana where integrity starts, it must begin from the classroom. Fellow Ghanaians, let us make this a turning point. Let us reclaim our schools from fraud. Let us restore the worth of our certificates. Let us prove to ourselves and to the world that Ghana still stands for honesty, for effort, for truth. The battle will not be easy, but the cost of failure is too high. If we lose the war against examination malpractice, we lose our future itself. Good morning, fellow Ghanaians.